So I just finished the 30-day shred. I'm Chad Brooks, I'm a pastor in Louisiana, and I've been reading the Bible for the last 30 days. I've been in a season of transition, and I've wanted to see what is it like to take the time when I have a month off, you might say, and just to throw myself really deep into Scripture. And I finished up the last bit of reading today. It's what people generally call the Catholic epistles, so 1st, 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, and then the book of Revelation. It was really nice to finish things in a place and in a way that's actually, let me work on our light here a little bit. No. There we go. I love having a remote for my light. But it was great finishing up this read with pieces of Scripture that I'm really familiar with. In fact, I kind of got to finish at my home base for so many things. Normally when I teach people in person about how to read the Bible and just some of the strategies that I have, I use 1st John for that. Really comfortable inside of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. I also love the book of Revelation. Let me pull something out real quick. I even wrote a master's thesis on preaching Revelation. I've actually updated this and I've got a digital copy for sale. I'll put that link down below. But I got to be at home base, and a couple of things just really struck out to me today, and this is what I want to share with you in this last video. I'm going to do a follow-up video of lessons I learned doing the entire 30-day shred, so this is just about those Catholic epistles and the book of Revelation. First thing is, when I was reading in 1 Peter and 1 John, I was remarkably struck by how we are called as Christians to live in a very counter-formational way that is empowered not by our belief structure or our moral structure or the things we stand against, but how we're able to comprehend love. I love the very last verse of 1 John where it says, "Dear children, do not let anything let you fall out of love with God." That's probably a conglomeration of several translations, but just the call for us to be radically aware of the power of the love of God, of what does it mean for us to exercise and to put out the love of God. And then 1 Peter just it talks about behaviors in such a way, but it's a call to realize like we have a different place that we live. I love how 1 Peter always directs us to understanding our life in this world as strangers and aliens. So rather than trying to convince the world that, hey, we're just as good as you, we just are nicer, or we believe in this, we have these morals. It's like, no, you don't belong here, and it's all right to not belong here. In fact, you're going to experience God more and more if you quit trying to belong here. It's incredibly subversive. And then as I was reading Revelation, I saved Revelation for the end. I read the first part of it this morning when I was drinking my coffee, and then I read Revelation, and I saved it for one single sitting because it's just a special book to me. And I'm not going to make a Revelation video. I'm reading it, and I'm just struck, and this is what I think the 30-day shred does for us. I'm struck thinking back to the historical books in the Old Testament and to thinking of the prophets and the way that they talked about things. And then reading the gnarly middle bit of Revelation about the beasts and the plagues and the terrors and all this sort of thing. And I'm realizing that, Revelation is a book that is very complicated. It's 100% real. It's also not 100% literal. But I'm reading this story that is finishing out the larger story of Scripture. I was struck by the ways that for the first time ever, I was experiencing it and seeing the culmination of all of these things, and not in some sort of bad way or violent way, but just this constant narrative of God's presence that we have read and experienced throughout the book of The whole book of the whole thing of Scripture, and I was struck by Revelation chapter 21, my favorite chapter, one of my favorite sections of the Bible. Just how much this focuses in on God's presence being with us, and that last few chapters of Revelation talk so much about the temple, and I'm going back to all the temple stuff I read for what felt like a week and a half in the shred with the historical books and with the prophets, and I was enjoying seeing the big, huge story of Scripture play out. And that's why I think readings like this are important. Readings by the Shred and readings like the 90-day version of the 90-day reading of the Bible, which I've done tons and tons of times, and I recommend to people quite often, is they help us to break out of verse-based spirituality and instead realize that this is a massive, huge story that we get to be part of. So I've enjoyed sharing this experience with you. Next week, I got a couple of videos coming up. I'm going to do a video that's kind of my Shred wrap-up of the whole thing. The next thing is I posted a picture on Twitter and on my community tab. I got a new Bible in, and I broke a rule when I bought this Bible. And so I'm going to make a video about this new Bible, why I broke the rule, and I'm going to share the Bible with you because it's a relatively new Bible anyway as well. Put those in there. So a couple things, just kind of closing up. If you like my weird particular brand of these things, go subscribe to my email list. I send it out every Monday morning. I put 7 pieces of content that I've engaged in throughout the week, and it's going to be Bible stuff, spiritual formation, social theory, pop culture. A lot of music, this kind of stuff, but go subscribe to that email list. And then I am going to put a link to that master's thesis on preaching Revelation. And it's not just really just about preaching. This is like the hard library copy they make you pay for. But if anyone's interested in the book of Revelation in a non-crazy way, that's what I really tried to do here. And so you can, there's a link down, you can buy, I think it's $10 to where you can buy that and just kind of help support the channel and the other stuff I do. But I'm Chad Brooks, and it's been great hanging out with you on these semi-daily videos about the 30-day shred as I read. I'll see you back in the next video.